So it's 5 days later now and our diesel pumps are still running, and they haven't really done too much to it. You can see that they've added an extra right layer of sandbags, which are right there. But the big difference is down here. They've added all this plywood and big frame structure here, which I guess is being used as a form for the concrete. So you can see they have those long bolts which are sticking out, which I guess are connected to the rebar, and maybe they're even attached to the concrete underneath. I can't really tell from here. But I was noticing before, like, there's a water line on the side of the concrete there. So you can see that, you know, having all those pumps and everything, what that's really doing, it's not only making it, you know, dry, mostly dry in this area here, but it's really lowering the water level there, because it would be possible for concrete at the bottom there, where the water is, obviously. Something else that's neat is that you can see there's this pipe which comes out down there, where water's coming out, and I'm really not sure where exactly that water is coming from, because it's, you know, totally dry here. There must be some sort of there must be like cracks. Maybe it's coming from the individual cracks in between the little sections of concrete there, and then I guess going underground, and then they have it all connecting up with that little piece of pipe there for it to get out. So then over on the other side here, their big wooden water slide thing is holding together, so that's good. But yeah, everything over here looks pretty much the same as when I looked at it about 5 days ago. So it's now Thursday, 6 days after the first time that I came here, and you can see they've made some major progress down there. This morning when I was going past, I saw they had the big excavator. You can see that kind of there's some tracks in the dirt there. They had the big excavator was sitting there with its arm reaching over here, and it was dropping down all those sandbags down there, which I guess are used for holding the concrete forms in place with the extra load of the concrete. But yeah, so that's what they did today. They poured concrete in there. I didn't get to see it, obviously, but you can see there's, you know, a big solid layer of concrete in that gap there between the wood and the existing concrete there. And you can see, you know, there's some more over underneath those big pipes over there as well. And you can see they have these big bolts that are still sticking out, and I guess those are connected in with the rebar somehow or something. I guess those bolts will get pulled out and they'll probably reuse them again for doing concrete work again in the future. Oh yeah, and I've also noticed that they've added some extra support there, some extra pieces of plywood in the middle there, and some 2x4s across, just kind of holding them in place. I guess that's for supporting the concrete to make, you know, the edge, the angled edge like we have there. They're just kind of extending it, because I guess they kind of just built this whole thing up an extra couple of feet. But yeah, it's probably the next time I go past here, this concrete will all have dried, and they'll be removing those forms, and then we'll have a repaired bridgeway, and maybe the generator pumps and everything and the sandbags will be gone, and we'll just have water flowing through here. So now it's Friday, a week after I made the very first video, and things are looking pretty much done down there. No more generators, no more sandbags. Water just flows right down there. And you can still see they still have that piece of plastic pipe in there, so I guess it's still doing the job that it was doing before. You can see, you know, the concrete's, you can almost not even tell that anything was done here. It looks really good. So they basically just extended the concrete that they had there out by a few feet. And you can also see where all of those bolts were. They have these little pieces of plastic pipe, and you frequently see concrete that has those kind of indents in it. And I guess now we know what those are for. That's where the bolts were stuck through, which was holding the form on when they were pouring the concrete in there. And then back on the other side, things are looking pretty much back to the way that they originally were. The big wooden slide thing that was there is no longer there. It appears that maybe some of the rocks have moved a little bit as a result of that, but it looks pretty much the same as it originally was. So I thought I'd get a little bit of a closer up shot. So right here we're standing on top of the new concrete. So if I'd come and stood here 2 days ago, there wouldn't have been anything here. It just would have been a big empty hole with a bunch of rebar on it. You know, it looks, you know, completely finished, completely done. Something else that they had to do, which I haven't showed before, is they had to make this big long ramp out of gravel to be able to get the equipment down here so that they could access you know, the lower area of the banks here. So that much, you must have taken a fair bit of effort, you know, to get all that gravel there and to get it, you know, all positioned there like that. They would have had to use that, you know, just so they could get the big excavator down here, as well as getting, you know, all those sandbags and the actual generators themselves, the pump generators. I'm not exactly sure how they would have, you know, moved them over to there. I'm guessing maybe they just used the excavator and they just, you know, hung them from a chain and they just kind of, you know, dangled them out and lifted them over the river and put them on the other side there. But they sure were able to clean all of that up really quickly. I never really figured out what exactly it was that they were actually repairing, like what had gone wrong. All I could tell was that the concrete under there was a little bit cracked. So maybe, you know, they anticipated that with more water flowing over it, eventually, you know, pieces of concrete would come off and it would just start to erode quite a bit more. So as you can see, there's not really even a whole lot of water that flows through here on an average day. Today was actually a bit of a rainy day. It probably rained for about a half or a third of today. This is all the water that we got coming through here. The water, you know, in the bottom of there, this is maybe 10 to 12 feet wide, and there's only about, you know, maybe half a foot of water down there, so there's not a whole lot. Although when we had our big flood back in July, this whole part, you know, where I was standing was water flowing, and it went, you know, quite a ways up the banks here. Probably about halfway up was filled with water because there was just such an extreme amount of water that was coming down. So maybe actually as a result of the flood they had to do all this work, or maybe they were just kind of looking into all of their creeks and waterways and trying to improve them, so if there's a big flood like that again, the damage will be minimized. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed following along with this little construction project that I get to look at every day on my way to and from work. I definitely don't know a whole lot about this subject, but I certainly do find it pretty interesting, so I hope you found it interesting too. Anyway, thanks for watching.